Hi Year 9, hope you had a nice half term and you managed to get a little bit of sun and a bit of relaxation time as well. Okay, first of all, I'd like to say well done. I'm so impressed with you managing to do the trigonometry. I didn't think it would have been possible teaching trig remotely to you, but you seem to have really got the hang of it, and you must have been like really paying attention with the notes and following the steps, so well done. With regard to doing the quizzes, you where I've said don't put any units in, really don't. So I'm trying to, I was new to the quiz that first week, so I've tried again with this week. Don't put any degrees in or anything like that. Really give it to the correct number of decimal places. That way you will get the marks. It's because with quiz it'll only accept like one answer. So and I thought, well, if I start putting the units in, some of you will like leave space degrees, or just put degrees and things like that, and then it's more complicated putting the degrees in. So just put the numerical answer in, okay? But hopefully you found the quiz something a little bit different rather than all my maths and all that sort of thing. So just trying to have that little bit of variety there for you, okay? And we'll see how we get on again with it this week. Right, so we last week we were looking at trigonometry finding a side where we knew one side and one angle. This time we're going to look at trigonometry finding an angle, and it's very, very similar. And in fact, I actually think it's easier because there's no having to make a decision about, is it this one or is it this one? Okay. Now, I've noticed I've still got my little trig triangles at the top of my page. So hopefully you've remembered your little mnemonics that you've did. I did like the optimistic alligators one. Okay, so we had some quite interesting ones. Some of you quite complicated how you're going to remember the sentence. I'm not quite sure, but we'll see how you get on. So obviously that's the only bit that you need to remember. Once you've got that on the top of your page, you're fine. Now, do you remember we had our Mrs. Judge's 5 steps of being able to solve trig questions? Well, it's exactly the same as this one, except step 1, instead of labelling the side you know and the side you want to know, I've label the 2 sides you know. Okay, so that's the only difference. The step 1 is just labelling the 2 sides that you know. Okay, so we're going to have a go at these questions together. Make sure that you get them, so do them again in your books as we're going along, so you know the methods that I'll be expecting you to use. Right. So the first one, so label the 2 steps you know. So the first one is, we know this one, well, it's the longest side because it's opposite this one, so it's the hypotenuse. And we know this one is opposite the angle in question, so it's the opposite. Now, sometimes this could be a letter, okay? I've put theta, if you remember me talking about theta last week. Okay, so we're wanting to find this angle. So which uses O and H is sine. Now, we're wanting to find the angle, so I put a little finger above sine because that's where the angle is, because remember it's sine angle, cos angle, tan angle. Right, so I'm going to, step 2, I know it's going to be sine. So then step 3, we write out the formula. Now, a sine angle is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse. Right, now, this is where it comes a little bit different. I just want to know the angle. So, if we were solving an equation, I would ring and fling. I want to get rid of this sine, and I just want to be left with the angle. Okay, so I'm just going to put theta actually here rather than angle. So, sine theta. So, I'm going to have theta is equal to, so I'm going to ring and fling this. Now, when I fling it over, it becomes inverse sine, which looks like this. Okay, inverse sine it's called. And then we need the opposite over hypotenuse. Now, you've definitely got to put this in a bracket. So it's going to be 5 over 7. Now, so this is called inverse sine because I've moved it over. Inverse sine 5 over 7. Now, looking at your calculator, can you see if I can get a little bit closer, inverse sine is here. So sine minus 1. Now to get to it, can you see on my calculator it's in orange, so I've got to press shift. And another way of thinking is this: you shifted the sine over to the other side. So you press shift sine. Okay, and can you see on my calculator it's got sine minus 1. Now because I've got one of the Casio calculators, mine automatically comes up with a bracket. If yours doesn't come up with a bracket, put a bracket in. Okay, so that's going to be 5 over 7. Close your bracket off and press equals. Now I can see the answer is 45.58. I'm going to have my answer to one decimal, no, let's go 2 decimal places, 45.58 degrees. Now, if your calculator says error, you've done something wrong. You might have put the hypotenuse over the opposite. You'll notice that because it knows that it's an impossibility that you couldn't have had the hypotenuse on the top, so that top number couldn't have been bigger. So talk through that again. So you label the 2 sides you know. You decide whether it's sine, cos or tan. I chose sine because that's the one that uses opposite over hypotenuse. You write out the formula. So sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. You just want theta, you want the angle. So you've got to move the sine to the other side. And then when opposite over hypotenuse is here, you must have that in brackets. Now, I'm going to tell you why you must have it in brackets. If, a bit of paper here, if you didn't, say you did sine minus 1 and you did 5 over 7, okay, what it would do is do shift sine minus inverse sine 5 and then divide the whole answer by 7. That's not what you want. So you always need to have inverse sine and then the whole of this value. Okay, so if the calculator doesn't come up with a bracket automatically, then put the bracket in. Okay, right, let's have a go at the next one. So this one here, hypotenuse. This one here, adjacent. So I can see which one uses adjacent hypotenuse. That's cos. So I write out the formula for cos. So cos theta. Okay, cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. Right, now I just want theta, I want the angle. So I'm going to inverse cos, and then adjacent is going to be 9. Hypotenuse is 15. And then just simply type it into your calculator. So shift cos, okay, notice that's coming up, my brackets automatically come up, 9 over 15, close my bracket off. Okay, I want my answer to two decimal places, so 53.13. Okay, brilliant. Next one, this one, well, it's next to the angle, so that's my adjacent, and this is my opposite, so I'm using tan. So tan is opposite over adjacent, right? So I just want the angle, so tan inverse tan, and it's 12 over 15. Okay, pop it into my calculator. Tan 12 over 15. So that gives me to 2 decimal places 38 point. Now I've got to do a bit of rounding here. 66 degrees. Okay, last one. This is my hypotenuse and this is my adjacent, so I'm using cos. Okay, so that's going to be 16 over 32. So in my calculator, cos 16 over 32, inverse cos, sorry, and that's 60 degrees. No rounding. Now, another top tip. Now, if you are not getting those answers and you're typing them in your calculator and you're wondering why you don't know, not getting them, your calculator must be in the degrees mode. So you can always tell if your calculator's in the degrees mode. It's got a little D sign there. Okay, so it's got to be in degrees. If it's got a G for gradients or something like that, you're going to get different answers. So your calculator must be in degrees mode. If you don't know how to change your calculator in degrees mode, then you need to not go into that one. Go through the little things or press the reset button on the back. Okay, but make sure that you've got degrees mode on that. don't know how to do it on this calculator. But on the other ones, I press shift mode and then clear it and it'll work. This one's got no batteries. Okay, so have a go at those questions. Okay, then have a go at the quiz that I've set you. So you've got this lesson, you've got to practice these. The next lesson, you've got a quiz. Okay, and then at the end of this week, you're going back and we're having a look at Pythagoras again, because a lot of trick questions are mixed in with Pythagoras. So I just wanted to go back over and make sure that you're okay with those. Okay, brilliant work, Year 9. Okay, and speak to you next lesson. Goodbye.